What's going on, everybody? I'm Enrique Pinheiro, and welcome back to the Hawk Show Talk Show, a Seattle Seahawks podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. For today's episode, I got a guest, and our guest today is three-time Pro Bowler, one-time All-Pro first team, one-time first team All-American, two-time national champion, and one-time NFC Championship champion, middle linebacker, and Seahawks legend Lofa Tatupu. Hi, Lofa.
My man, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So for today, I got some questions. We're gonna ask Lofa mostly about his career and life, and then I got some relating to current NFL players that I'd want to ask. So let's get right into it. Let's talk some Hawk. First, some generic questions. What's your favorite game ever? I have an assumption in my head, but do you have a favorite game you played?
What's your assumption?
That Eagles game against Feely with the three interceptions.
The Eagles, I had probably two of my best games personally against the Eagles, but my favorite game will always be the NFC Championship. Bringing that conference title back to Seattle, and earning a trip to the Super Bowl. And because you play for championships, my man. That's what it's all about. So the NFC Championship against Carolina my rookie year will always be my favorite.
Yeah, and you were a leader on that defense. That's crazy. And then for a little high and low, just it could be any moment. It could be when you got drafted. It could be a certain play, a celebration. What's like kind of a lower moment that you kind of learn from, and then your favorite, your highest moment?
Man, lowest moment anytime a concussion or a surgery, an injury, because it's one that it challenges you, not just physically. A lot of people, they think that it's just the rehab process, but mentally and emotionally to overcome those things every time. Like, I mean, I had 10 surgeries, 15 concussions. So to get back, what was it, 25, 26 times? I mean, it takes everything you got. And then, the highest of the highs in the NFL, either being drafted, because that's every kid's dream, is to get their name called on draft day, or to play in the Super Bowl, even though it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but it's the biggest game, in all of sports, because you only get one take, man. It's not. No offense to football, baseball, and I mean, baseball, basketball, and hockey. They have a whole 7 games to figure it out. You got one game in the NFL to figure out who's the champion, and so that's why it'll always be the best to me.
Yeah, exactly. NFL, I think it's so much more special because in NBA and MLB, you lose a game and you still got 82 or 165 or whatever to recover. NFL, you got 16, and then playoff, it's you lose, you're out. So it's crazy. It's super important. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was watching some highlights and I saw a play against the Cowboys where you dove out of bounds and kind of corralled the ball back inbounds in midair and allowed one of your teammates to recover and stuff like that. It doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So I was wondering if there's any specific plays like that that you feel like kind of went under the radar that you are proud of. Like it could be that play.
Yeah, that was one. I'm surprised you saw that one. I haven't talked about that one in a long time. But it was better that my foot was out, and because I got the ball back in, and because I knew we had 3 or 4 guys coming to get the ball, and so my whole thought was keep it alive. But luckily my toe was out, so we got the safety, and then we got the ball back because we were down. I think we were down 7, so this gave us a chance to go up 2. We're up 1 with which everyone knows. So I guess another one that kind of goes unnoticed is I tackled Witten on 3rd and 10, just a series later, same game. And, Jason, Witten's a Hall of Famer, and one of the toughest guys I went against. And I was there just in time to hold him up and secure the tackle. And then the infamous, Tony Romo field goal,
Yeah.
botch snap, and Jordan big play Babineau coming to the rescue. It seemed like Babs always had his best games against the Cowboys, much like I did with the Eagles. He was the Cowboy killer. Um, but yeah, I would think that play goes maybe a little unnoticed or whatever. But it was, man, that was a fun game back and forth. That was one of the most talented teams. The '06 Cowboys, the most talented rosters I ever seen. I think they had 11 Pro Bowlers in that year. So, but I always plays that one I noticed that I really loved or enjoyed. Me, Craig Terrell, we blocked a lot of kicks, a lot of field goals. I think he either tied or broke the record for the organization, and I was a part of a good amount of them. And it happened because we were in Washington my rookie year, and I knew that they were vulnerable up the middle. I was like, yo, if I push you, I was telling all the guys this, and Craig seemed like he was the only one interested in listening. He goes, hey, just push me. I'll go. I go, all right, don't stop your feet. I'm going to push you as hard as I can. And we blocked the first field goal. I think we went on to block 3 or 4 that year. And then another 3 or 4, years later, which, I mean, it's a play that a lot of people take for granted, like the operations of it all. But I think the rules have even changed. I don't even know if you're allowed to push guys anymore. That's how successful we were.
Yeah, changing the game. That's awesome. You were tackles, sacks, interceptions, blocks, all over. Uh, so with you, I just saying like how versatile you were, and you were a player who was real, like the saying, the fight in the dog rather than dog in the fight. Like you like they said you were 5'11", but you were way like mind over matter. You were crazy in the field. Are there any current NFL players that kind of remind you of that way where like you play smart instead of, well, you're physical obviously, but like you were so valuable in the field because of your mind.
Yeah, you know, trying to think of anybody that plays because I really did have, I don't want to say a reckless play style, but it was like you're saying, it was a well calculated risk. Like I knew the outcome was favorable for us if I went for the interception, if I blitzed, when the running back was staying in to protect. I knew those little areas to take advantage of, and I know having coached him, KJ Wright's a guy that comes to mind that he picks his spots and he makes his plays because of it. Because you can't just be out there playing completely free and hanging somebody else out to dry. You got to know where your help is, and you got to know when to take your shot. That's just as important as taking the shot. Is like, okay, is this going to be a favorable outcome for the team? So I would say KJ is one that I know that he picks his spots and goes. A guy that I think plays a lot. He's a lot. He's going to be a lot better than me. He probably already is. Devin White from Tampa. He's about 6 feet, 240, but he's a missile, man. He's much faster than I was. But when the ball is snapped and he knows where it's going, he's off, and that's how I play downhill. Go get it.
That's awesome. Yeah, love Devin White and KJ. Thank you. Uh, it doesn't have to be a linebacker. It could be any position on defense. But what current or all-time player would you love to play aside? Like maybe a nice box safety or free safety or Aaron Donald or anyone.
Oh man, I wish I had that next year, that one more year, because I got released in 11. I wish I had that just 2011 season to play with Cam and Earl, because I got to play with that. I got to play with Earl his rookie season, but Lawyer Malloy was starting for us. Who that was one of my all-time favorite players to line up with too, because I'm from the East Coast, so I grew up watching Lawyer just wreak havoc on the field over in New England. But it would have been fun to line up, and then KJ would have been there too, and Sherm that following year. But it would have been fun because I saw Cam and Earl come in, and I knew they were going to be talented. Earl should have made the Pro Bowl his rookie year, and then I remember telling Cam, I was like, "Hey man, just move the linebacker. You'll make the Pro Bowl this year, I promise you." And I'm glad he didn't because he was a Pro Bowl safety. But that's how talented Cam Chancellor is.
I love it. Yeah, that would have been amazing if we could have seen you in that 2013 defense. And then, similar to the last question, what's one player, all time or current, that you love to go against? Like you love to cover a George Kittle or try and tackle Derrick Henry or someone. And obviously, this is when you're in your prime.
Man, so a player now that I'd like to play, or a player that I loved playing back then?
A player now, actually. A player now.
Um, man, there's. I would love to be on the field to see Tyreek Hill's speed because it just. I played against the three fastest players I think I ever saw: Michael Vick, Randy Moss, um, and Julio Jones. Those are the ones that, like, when I was on the field with them, it looked like another gear, man. It looked like something I'd never seen before. And I played against a lot of fast, great, skill position players, but those three always stood out in my mind. Like, wow, I'm gonna have to take a steeper angle to try to tackle this guy. Um, so I think I would love to see. I would love to really just experience Tyreek Hill's speed, but I don't want to cover him. I just want to be out there on the field.
And then if you want, you can answer who was like your favorite matchup you had when you played.
I man, I was always against running backs. So like I would have to man cover like LaDainian Tomlinson, Sproles, Marshall Falk, Kevin Falk, Brian Westbrook, and I mean these guys were nightmares because they knew leverage, they knew they could outrun you, and so I had to be. It brought the best out of me, and that's why I appreciated or loved going against those guys because I knew I got better. Even if they beat me on a rep, I knew I got better because I learned something from that rep. But yeah, man, some serious battles out there. I mean, everybody's good in the NFL, but I mean, three or four of those guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame if
Yeah,
they're
it's
not.
crazy. It's crazy hearing you talk about these guys like you were just out there with them balling. That's crazy. It's amazing. For today's game, is there anyone I know you watch a lot of NFL that you just love watching play and grow and succeed as a player? It could be any position.
Any position. I mean, I watch mostly. I watch a lot of the Hawks. So I am curious to see how Jordan Brooks continues to develop. Because he gets the privilege and honor of playing next to two of the greatest to ever put on the Seahawk uniform, and KJ and Bobby. I mean, when it's all said and done, that's going to be in the rankings of linebackers. That's going to be 1 and 2 right there. And so I'm hoping they impart some wisdom to him because he does. He's got a very similar play style to me, or we had a kind of the same game. But again, when we talk about the athlete, he's a much better athlete than I was. So I'm going to continue to watch his development and see how high he can take it with Ken Norton, who helped develop Bobby and KJ, and that system and that scheme. I think he's going to fit in great.
And speaking of Jordan Brooks, with you were the 45th overall pick in the draft, and the Seahawks traded up to get you, and there was some criticism saying like, oh, he shouldn't have been that early, and you proved everyone wrong. Obviously, you were amazing. Do you have like a different level of appreciation for the Seahawks, how they go for these more under the radar guys? Like Jordan Brooks wasn't expected to go first round, and we got him, and we saw how that worked out. So do you love seeing that?
We we've done well. I mean, John Schneider is one of the best, if not the best, in the game at GM, and he knows value, and so that's why it's tough to come in and really make your mark as a rookie. I know that having played, but you know, you see them every year. They find guys that just can just be implemented, like DK Metcalf, right? A guy that falls in the second round. I think he was the 60th pick or something. So a lot of teams passed on him twice, and now they're pretty upset that they did. But Jaron Reed, being able to get him in the second round, Frank Clark in the second round, like the value that John's found in drafts, and we can go back to the first one where he had all those guys that I mentioned: Cam, Earl, Russell Okung, Golden Tate, Walter Thurman. I mean, it was one of the most stacked drafts. And then he follows it up with 11 and 12, where you got potential Hall of Famers in both, Sherm and then Bobby and Russell in 12. So I look forward to the draft every year because of that, because I never know what's going to happen. Even when I was coaching there in 15 and 16, I had no idea. Like, I knew what we needed, but then where we got them wasn't always like, okay, we need a D tackle, so we're going to go get one. We end up with a linebacker, or end up. So it's they keep us on our toes for sure as fans now, and even did when I was a coach.
Yeah, exactly. I've tried to predict the past couple first round picks for the Seahawks, and I've gone 0 for 6 the past couple years.
I okay, and this is gonna be. This is the first podcast I'm gonna tell the truth on with this one. I don't think I told anybody else this. I didn't even see us draft Jordan Brooks. I turned the draft off because we've traded out for like the last however many years. We've always traded out, and then so after because we were always the 31st pick, something like that. After we selected him, I get all these text messages and hey, what do you think about the new guy? And I'm like, who? And they're like, we drafted a linebacker. And I was like, no way. And so I felt horrible. But like I said, they surprised me again by picking somebody when we normally trade back.
That's hilarious. I know. I expected to trade back, and we picked someone. That's crazy. Uh, I know. I don't know if it was your rookie year or what year was it, but how cool is it to see Pete Carroll, the guy who took a chance on you after your freshman year at Maine and took you in at USC, to see him come up to Seattle where you were?
Oh, it's great. I mean, Pete knows how to win, and and that's what being part of the culture, turning the culture over at SC. I mean, I knew what was in store as long as he was true to himself and just did what he did at SC. Because he really went there and refined his philosophy about competition and just competing, man. Like that is the ethos or philosophy that he lives by. And you see it because I don't know if years before, if Pete would have let a Russell Wilson, a third round pick, take over and start as a rookie over a guy they just paid, a veteran they just paid, in Matt Flynn. So, as long as, like I said, as long as he stayed true to himself and letting the best man for the job play, then I knew he was going to succeed. And that's exactly what he did, man. He came in here and, there's a number of guys. KJ started as a rookie. He was a fourth rounder. I watched his film. He should have been a second rounder, maybe even first. His film was good. But for whatever reason, guys fall in the draft. And that's what happened there. But it was I knew a lot of winning was about to happen, and so it's cool to see it. And I got to see it from the other lens as a coach when I coached for him in 15 and 16.
A question about that. So you coached in 15 and 16, obviously assistant linebacker with Chris Richard. Now that first you have Pete there, and now you have Ken Norton Jr. there, who's also at USC and an NFL legend, linebacker like you. Would you ever consider coming back to Seattle to maybe assistant coach, maybe do something? I know we have Deshaun Shed back now. It's like get some players involved.
Yeah, um, yeah. I mean, I would love to be around. I love football, man. I'm a football guy, and my kids were just a little too young, which is kind of why I took a step back to really just spend this time with them. And I think in a couple of years, they're 10 and 6. So when they get, I want to say probably 3 or 4 more years, when they get to like 14 and like 10, I could see I could see them being too cool to hang out with dad, and then I'll go back and I'll maybe coach or scout for somebody.
That'd be awesome. And this is a kind of a controversial question, but you're familiar with Pete, obviously, and the Seahawks organization, player and a coach. Do you think the whole Russell and Pete situation, do you think that was all smoke or like, I don't know, you're familiar with that organization. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know really what to make of it because it did at first. What Russell said didn't bother me at all. He didn't call out his own lineman, and the the clips were edited to make it seem like he called out his own lineman. But the first thing he said was, "I need to do a better job of getting rid of the ball." And so, but somehow that sentence miraculously disappeared when they replayed over and over that loop. So, and I mean, that's just the way it is sometimes, with the media. They poke and prod and they want to see if there's something there. But I only got alarmed when four different trading destinations were presented to that. To me, that showed me, okay, there is a little more here than we know. And and we'll see what happens. I don't At this point, I don't anticipate anything to happen. But I have been on record saying, if we don't get to the championship game or even Super Bowl, I'm not saying we have to win either, but if we don't make it past the divisional round, and into that game, the NFC Championship, and possibly the Super Bowl, changes might be made, and I don't know if it's player or coach. Who knows? But it's, Pete did just get an extension, so I don't think he's going anywhere. And, we'll see how strong Russell's desire to go somewhere else is.
Yeah, I know that was kind of funky. He was like, I don't want to get traded, but if I was to get traded, here's four of my dream spots.
But I got these four cities and teams that I wouldn't mind going to.
I know that was weird. I wasn't sure on like whose side to take. I didn't like either side too much because I understood both points. So yeah, it was hard, but I think we're good now. Russell's happy. He was talking to Carlos Dunlap saying he's here to stay and stuff. So yeah,
When you lose, you go 12-4, right? They had a great season, and then so no one, there's only one team that's happy when the season's over. It's the team that won the whole thing. Even the Kansas City Chiefs right now, going back to their second back to back, they're not happy. In fact, they're probably one of the most upset teams because they were that right there. They were close. And but when you go 12-4, win the division, and there's a lot of heartbreak when that season ends and I think that's really what we saw was just maybe a little emotions flared up right after, because that was still playoffs were still going on, and they're putting the microphone in front of your face saying, "How do you really feel?" It's you don't know how to feel. Aaron Rodgers. I just saw on Jeopardy the other night. Did you see that?
yeah, with the
someone,
field goal joke.
someone brought up the field goal. It's like, and I know Aaron Rodgers, the competitor that he is. I he played it off well, but I know that was not awesome for him. Just revisiting that moment.
Yeah, that must hurt because he didn't get to make the decision either. It wasn't in his hands at that point. So yeah, that must be difficult for him. All right, your father Mosi Tatupu, if did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, awesome. He was another NFL great. He's a fullback and special teamer with the Patriots, and then a year with the Rams. So you're a second generation Tatupu in the NFL. Is there any chance we'll get a third? Are either of your kids interested or feel passionate or even at all about football?
You said the right word, passionate. You gotta love this sport, and so I could always be surprised. My oldest, he's he's I almost want to say he's too smart to play football. He he's already got his own like YouTube gamer show, and he's awesome, and he's into music, and he plays the guitar and the drums. So that's the beauty of life. It doesn't matter what you're into. Your kid could be into something completely else, and so he's helped me grow, and listen to music that I never listened to, and play video games that I've never imagined I would play. But my youngest, he he has the mentality for it. We're gonna see if he has the passion for it, but he's a little Lofa. I see it all the time. Just his mannerisms. He's tough. He's really tough. He beats up the 10-year-old. So there could be, I believe there could be a third generation.
That's awesome. That's amazing to hear. Quick question. You grew up on the East Coast, went to high school there, and went to USC for college, but right now you're living in the Pacific Northwest, right? So what made you choose the Pacific Northwest after not living there for the beginning of your life?
Man, I didn't realize how much I loved it out here. Me, my wife, just, the people, the city. It's it's home to us. It just feels like home here in Massachusetts because I grew up from the time I was little until 18. I grew up in Massachusetts, so they're both home to me. And I got a couple businesses out here, and so that's really what helped me stick around. I'm wearing the sweatshirt Zone In CBD. So it's you know they've really treated me like one of their own, one of their sons, the city of Seattle. And I'm grateful for it. The Hawks have always kept me involved in charity work, and I couldn't be more grateful for it. And so it's a great place. And I'm glad I got drafted here because I don't know if I ever would have taken a trip. I'm not a guy that really loves to travel or anything like that. Like, And um, I couldn't even point out Seattle on a map back when, even when I got drafted. I mean, I knew it was up there, you know, almost Canada, but I didn't realize how beautiful it was and how amazing the people were.
That's awesome. And I was about to bring up zone in. So you've turned your NFL, your salaries, your money into a business, which is amazing. That's awesome. That like post like in your retirement, you're still grinding. You're still like perfecting your craft and being amazing. With zone in, you're obviously a CBD business up in the Pacific Northwest. I know another Seattle athlete by the name of Sean Kemp, who's in that business as well. And I'm sure there's other guys. Wouldn't it be cool to see a Lofa Tatupu Sean Kemp collaboration one of these days?
Collab, yeah, Sean, if you're out there, man, let's do it. Let's just collab, man. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that guy's a legend, you know, here, Rain Man, and I love watching him play. And yeah, I saw he has his own line, his own store in Seattle, and so it's cool because I mean, hemp and cannabis, it's really what's we're also vocal or advocates on behalf of it because it's really helped put us back together after the sports, our respective sports that we love, have really torn us apart, you know, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Man, it takes a toll on you, and you know, so I'm forever grateful for what it's done and how it's brought me back to whole and mind, body, and spirit. And this is my new passion, my new purpose is just keep telling people what it is and what it isn't because you know, the stigma that comes with hemp and cannabis is it's still an ugly one, and people don't believe that it's actual medicine. You know, they still classify it as drugs, which is wrong.
Yeah, I totally agree. And do you have any zone in stores yet, or is it all online currently?
We have it, and we're in a lot of retail across the U.S. Primarily, we're in Bartell drugstores out here, all in the Seattle area. There's 67 stores over there, so we got you know, two of our products and three of our products in there. And we just came out with an energy powder, kind of like a pre-workout. It's like a hybrid between the two, and it's the best I've ever taken, and it helps fuel my day and my workouts.
That's awesome. And then one final question, kind of tying everything together. I watched an interview by TMZ. It's a little over a year ago, and you said that if the CBA legalized CBD, that you would consider making a comeback. You said you were feeling better than ever, and the Seahawks could use a veteran presence. You were always mind over body, anyways, and not too old. A lot of guys at your age still playing, and not just quarterbacks like Terrell Suggs, Cameron Wake, they're not retired. Richie Incognito, Andrew Whitworth, Larry Fitz, Frank Gore. Would you ever want to play with Bobby, KJ, Jordan Brooks under Pete and Ken Norton again?
I would love to, but there would there would need to be something terribly wrong with our linebacker core, you know, if they need me to play. So I will remain a fan, but I believe I could play again. I could. I mean, I just know how I feel mentally and physically, and that's a lot of the thing. Like mentally is so much more like what you need when you're out there. And with all those concussions, I feel like that's what it slowly disconnected the mind body connection, and it led to me not playing as well as I used to. You know, all the injuries, obviously, but and it's like we talked about early on when the lows are the lows that when you're already the odds are already stacked against me at 5'11", 240, 245, and I'm not one of the fastest guys either. So I'm not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest. And then you pile on all those injuries, and it's just you're taking your whole off season. Like my after my rookie year, even my second, third, the next 5 years of my career, I was rehabbing all off season to get back to full strength. And this is where everybody right now, they're getting even bigger, faster, and stronger. And you're getting younger guys coming in through the draft. And so it's like, man, it's demanding mentally, really, to stay at the top of your game. I think more so than physically. So with that back, that's why I feel this way. I mean, I feel like a better athlete than I was, and it's crazy to say at 38 when you know last time I played I was 29 or 30, but you know it's the truth. And I mean, that's why you see a lot of people, you know, coming out on behalf of CBD.
That's awesome. Yeah. Uh, probably won't gonna happen. Probably it's not gonna happen, but it's fun to hope. Uh, anyways, I'm good to wrap it up. Is there anything you would like to say to any football fans, football passionates, maybe business people out there? Anything you'd like to say to any people listening or watching?
Football fans, if go Hawks always, right? And keep the faith. I mean, we're close. I think we can get another ring here soon. And business wise, invest in yourself. I mean, because at the end of the day, just like you're saying, what I chose to do post career, um, got two businesses, and it's a grind, man. It is an absolute grind, but I'm learning a ton. And if if it's like something that you're passionate about, you're not gonna fail, because when everybody else is doing it for whatever reason they are, whether it's the money or something, they they'll get tired. But when you just get energy from, and so when I hear a story about one of our, we call them family, not customers or clients. Um, when I hear something from a family member saying that, oh man, Zone In changed my life, that's why I'm doing it, because this stuff changed my life. And, I'll never run out of energy getting fuel like that, man. Like knowing that I positively impacted somebody's life by letting them know that this plant, this natural thing, has been hidden from us for a long time because of misinformation. So yeah, invest in yourself, and follow your passion for all those that you know are ready to take that entrepreneurial or business leap.
Thank you. Those are some amazing words of wisdom for all the fans out there. That's it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Lofa, thank you so much for joining me today. Everyone, make sure you follow him on Instagram. Check out his podcast. You're the co-host on a podcast, and then if you're of age, you can check out Zone In, his CBD business, and then what's the other business? The farm, the 1937.
1930, well, so 1937 farm, that's 21 plus. That is cannabis, and Zone In is hemp derived. So they're actually, FDAA hasn't even put in an age limit. Like my kid could go and buy CBD from the store. But yeah, I'm not advocating that kids use this. I'm just saying it's not, it's not classified the way, or looked at the way cannabis is. So 1937 farms, 21 plus. Zone In CBD. I mean, you can follow us. It's a lot of us just inspirational, working out, staying fit, and because that's really what it's brought me to my best life. Mind, body, and spirit, like I said. And so just trying to help others, find that journey. It's never too late.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So yeah, everyone, check out Lofa. Amazing athlete, but even better, amazing person, amazing businessman, amazing all around everything. Thank you guys so much. Have a nice day.